Alright guys, in this video I'm going to show you how I've been just kind of putting together some cartridges for my Chassepot Needle Rifle. As some of you already know, I'm still waiting on a tool from overseas, but for now I'm just using a piece of cut down 4570 brass as my die for rolling my paper. This creates a little bit of a problem in that to be able to pull this thing back out after you rolled it tightly, you have to put it in upside down, which makes the cartridge taper the wrong direction, and you'll see that a little later. But other than that, it's been working pretty good. So before I run out of space on my camera, let's just jump right into it. First thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take what I have left of this strand of toy cap gun caps here, and we're gonna separate one from the strand just like this. And once we have it separated, we're going to take a CCI 4-wing musket cap and we are going to set it inside of it just like this, just as you can see there. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some 4F powder to that. So I'm going to come over here, grab my 4F powder, and as you can see, I'm just going directly into it. Just put just a pinch in. As you can see there, if my camera would focus, I got a little too much, so I'm going to pour some back. You don't want to fill it all the way up because the needle is going to be coming through this, and it's going to have to push some black powder out of the way to get there. So you want to make some room for the black powder to be able to move around as the needle goes through it. So I typically use about that much right there. So from there, I will take my glue, and I'll apply some glue to the wings. After I've got a little bit of glue on the wings, as you can see there, if my camera would quit playing its little games, I take a 45 caliber paper that I've cut out using just regular 8.5 by 11 paper. I discovered this works best probably due to the fact that I have a blunt needle, as a lot of you know. It's been broken, and I set it on their center, and then I let that dry. And usually when I'm doing these cartridges, since this takes such a long time, I do it in steps. I'll do like 50 of these one night, and then I'll do the next step another night. So that would be step one. So we'll set that aside. Now we're going to roll the actual cartridge. Here's some cartridge paper that I've made, and at the end of this video I'll have a diagram that I'll put here that'll show you all the dimensions to this. So, but for now we're just going to roll it. And take this and put the thin end, as I said, right here. I'm going to roll it good and tight, because you want these things real strong. You don't want them brittle, because the needle is going to push against them, the bolt's going to push against it. You don't want it to crush or deform. You want it to be just like a regular cartridge in that chamber. So, and this part where, you know, I've got to go back and forth will be made much easier when I actually have the proper tool to do this. Take a regular glue stick, apply some glue, and close it off. Then we're going to take the teeth on the top here and fold them down. Now it's time to go grab pre-made primer. Put some glue on that. We're going to put that on top of here. Get it all good and centered. Okay. I'll take glue and add it to each of these wings here. Alright. Once that's done and you've made sure your cap is center, sorry if I'm going off camera here, this is not the easiest thing to videotape. Videotape, man, that's old. It's old school. Anyway, so you fold them in like that. And then I take my, this is just a pistol black powder measure, and it fits through there perfect, and I use it to press hard up against the top to get a good seal. So there you go. And then to finish sealing that off, I have another just regular 45 caliber cookie made just from 8.5 by 11. Get a bit of glue on it and use it to completely seal off the end there. Again, I'm sorry about this. This is not the easiest thing to do while looking through the camera's viewfinder. So now we have the finished cartridge. Now it's time to take that brass out of there, and you can see the primer down in there. So I just kind of knock it like this till the brass gets to the bottom, and I'll pull it out. As you can see there. Oop. Alright, so there we have our rolled tube. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit more 4F, and I'm just going to put enough in there to assist in the whole thing going off. And hopefully you'll be able to see it down in there. As you can see, I just filled up the bottom, covered the wings but not the entire percussion cap. Alright, now we're ready for the main powder charge. I'm going to do 75 grains of black powder in this one. 2F Go X. Fill that up here. Take that and pour it in. So you can see it there. Take my 45 caliber wad, stick that in on top of it. Now we're going to compress it. You need to compress. I hope you guys can see this. It's not really a good way for me to do this on camera. You need to compress it pretty dang hard, because again, you want these cases to be hard, not soft and brittle. So there you go. Then I take my 405 grain 4570 bullet and my stick glue, and I coat it in glue, just like with bullet lube. And this is how I'm going to get it to stick to the paper cartridge and hold still and not walk out or fall out when you're handling them. So once it's thoroughly coated in glue there, again, sorry about that, I take it, and first thing I do, because again this is now wider on this end than it is on this end, which it shouldn't be, but because I'm using that 45 or 70 piece of brass, that's just kind of what happens. So I've been folding that in a little bit so it has something to drag against. And there you have it. That is a completed Chassepot Needle Rifle cartridge. When you're done, you just double check the overall length, make sure it's 70 millimeters, at least for my rifle. Your mileage may vary. I've read them being anywhere from 68 to 69, and then now mine is 70, so I guess anywhere between 68 millimeter and 70 millimeter overall length. This one, I've already got it figured out. You know, this is going to be 70 millimeters, 75 grains of black powder, a double wrapped cartridge, 45 caliber wad. That all comes out to exactly 70 millimeter. So I'm going to let this dry, because right now the bullet's still kind of loose in there, but when it dries it'll be really nice and stiff, almost like, you know, just another regular bullet. Alright, so here is one of my test fires here. When I first discovered my needle was broken and too short, I was experimenting with different ways to get it to fire, and this is when I first decided to use the pistol cap, the cap gun cap, as you can see there, and then there's the regular 4-wing musket cap. And how I tested this is, again, you have to make the whole cartridge, because that's how the needle is able to hit it hard enough, as it has the whole overall length of the cartridge into the gun and it's putting backward pressure on it. So what I did was I did the whole priming process like you guys just seen in the video, and I filled the rest of the cartridge, as you can see there, with rice. And as you can see, this is all done by itself with just the 4F in the cap, not actually in the cartridge, and it blew out pretty good. So I've had nothing but 100% ignition with these things. I've been very happy. There, as you can see, is the needle hole. Alright guys, we are headed off to the range to do some accuracy testing. We're going to put the Chassepot Needle Rifle up against the supreme commander of all single-shot black powder military rifles, the Martini-Henry. We are going to see how each of them fare in terms of accuracy. On paper, they're both very similar. They're both 45 caliber bullets, and they're both projected out by 85 grains of black powder. I know some of these we loaded with 75 grains. I'm just experimenting with that. But in their full military form, they both shoot 85 grains of black powder behind a 45 caliber bullet. So here I'll give you a closer look at some of the rounds. The needle rifle rounds are still drying. And there are the Martini-Henrys, the 5.7mm 450s. As you can see, very close to the same size. So, I mean, both of these guns are very large caliber. 45 caliber behind 85 grains of black powder is no joke. So it should be interesting to see what we come up with. So, like I said, we are headed out, and I will catch you all later.